All right, today we're going to talk about 401k and what Wall Street has been promising workers and all the people that have been putting money in these famous 401k plans. So the 5 promises that I've seen is tax advantages. So pre-tax contributions, that means that before you pay taxes on them, so you save some taxes there because it's reducing your income. You also have earnings and capital gains that go tax deferred. And again, we want to make sure that tax deferred doesn't mean that it's tax free. You're going to pay taxes eventually. The next big one is around the secure, comfortable retirement. Obviously, we're putting money in 401k because we want to retire. We want to have a comfortable retirement, and we want to make sure that it's safe, that we're going to get there and it's fairly secure. And the thing that you need to know is that financial planners assume that you're going to make a lower income at retirement. This is very important because you may not be on the same page that they do. The other thing too is that these 401ks are tax-deferred savings plans. They're not a retirement plan, so you have to figure out how you're going to convert that money into a stream of passive income. Typically, this is done using the 4% asset withdrawal method, and we're going to talk about that and see if it's something that's viable. Then the other assumption is that you're going to pay less in taxes at retirement when you're actually withdrawing the money, and we're going to talk about kind of like what the difference between the two are and if this is really true. The third promise is around the fact that we're assuming that we're going to pay less taxes. We're going to be in a lower tax bracket at retirement. And this is not exactly true. There's a couple of components to that. One of them is that capital gains tax is actually lower than income tax. But when you're taking the money out of your 401k, you're actually paying income tax, not capital gains tax. This is something that makes a big difference. The fourth promise of 401k is, I say lack of flexibility, but really it's about the employer matching. So the fact that the employer sometimes is matching your contribution is great. It makes more money. It's kind of like free money. But it comes with some constraints where basically your money is more locked in, you have less flexibility, you have limited investment options, and you just can't take your money somewhere else. So there's often a vesting period and all kinds of restrictions about what you can do with that 401k. So I called it, it's not really a promise, but it's like the lack of flexibility around the 401k. The number 5 is about great returns. Obviously, we are promising that, oh, this is going to be fantastic returns on your investment, but typically your money is invested in mutual fund, and it's often a limited group of mutual funds that you can invest in. Also, ETF are also part of the mix often, but the big problem is that it comes with fees, and more fees. Fees for the administration, fees for the expense ratio, all kinds of different fees associated with that, and that affects obviously your returns. But before I keep going, my name is Eric Martel. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur, and I've done over 650 single-family flips over the years, multiple apartment buildings, and I've transacted in over $85 million in real estate transaction. And I'm here to help you make more money and keep as much as you can, and also achieve financial freedom. So if you like what you hear, if you like the information that I provide, make sure you like and subscribe and share it with your friends. But let's keep going. Let's talk about, I'm going to talk about a Florida man, but it could be anybody that is planning to retire. 30-year-old man, $75,000 in salary, contributing 10% of his salary to his 401k with 100% contribution matching. What does it look like 35 years later, at 65, when it's time for him to retire? His final salary would be $205,000. He would have accumulated $2.5 million in his 401k. This is fantastic. This is exactly what Wall Street is talking about $2.5 million in the bank, and then 65 years old, ready to retire. And we're going to go through this example and see how it actually panned out in reality. I want to also point out that this is absolutely 100% completely unusual and almost impossible for someone to be this consistent. It assumes a 3% salary increase and a 9% return year after year after year. But the fact that this person is contributing every year, consistently, all the time, for the same employer, and there's no issues, this is very unusual. But we're going to go along with this plan Because I know that life happens sometimes. Your kids go to school and you're not making the contribution you should be doing, whatever. So things change. But we're going to go with this plan, with this program as an example. And why I'm saying this is so unusual is that the median retirement savings for people that are 55 to 65 is $90,000. This is a big gap between $90,000 and $2.5 million. So this is why I'm saying that this is very unusual for someone to be this consistent for this many years. So let's talk about the first 401k promise, which is the tax advantages. So when we look back at our Florida man, over the years, he basically made a contribution, pre-tax contribution. That saved him over 35 years. That saved him $117,000 in taxes because he paid the money, he contributed the money to the 401k, and then it reduces his AGI and reducing his taxes. $117,000 over 35 years is about $3,000 a year in tax saving. That doesn't seem like much to me. So when I'm looking back at the 5 promises, when we look at the pre-tax contribution and the tax saving associated with that is fairly minimal. So I give it a thumbs down. Now, if I look at the capital gains contributions that are accumulating tax-free, I look at how much he has contributed, how much the company has contributed, and what is the total amount of in his 401k after 35 years. So $2.5 million minus the $900,000 that was contributed by himself and his employer, and we're left with $1.6 million. So this is gains from the investments in the 401k over the years. So that has accumulated tax-free. Even though this is tax-free, Wall Street wants you to believe that this is the only vehicle. This can only happen with a 401k plan. But this is not true. I could put the same amount of money towards an ETF and just leave it there, and it would grow tax-free year after year after year. I don't need to have this money locked in a 401k in order to earn capital gains and other gains tax-free. So this is why I'm giving it a thumbs down here, just because the fact that this money is locked in. Even though it's capital gains, this money is locked in at that time. So let's talk about the secure, comfortable retirement. So this person has accumulated $2.5 million in 401k and is now making at 65 $205,000 a year. So if your final salary is $205,000, our man is going to get $35,000 in Social Security. So that means he needs to figure out $170,000. Often the financial planners are going to assume that you don't need to make $205,000 at retirement. You'd be fine with $150,000 or $140,000. They just really want to make the numbers work for the amount of money that you have. And I don't think that's really the right way of doing it. You're used to a 205 income coming in. You have a certain lifestyle. You have, I know you're working and all that kind of stuff. You may not be traveling that much. A lot of people assume that because you're not traveling, that you're going to spend less money on so many things. You're not going to go out as much for lunch and all that kind of stuff. But really, you're going to spend your money differently. You're used to that lifestyle. You're used to that money coming in. And you're going to want to travel more. You may go out more for dinner and stuff like that, and do like weekend travel, etc. Take additional hobbies that you didn't have time to do before. And you have healthcare costs. It's also going to go up. So all these things, when they're combined, I think that it's safe to assume that not many people want to reduce their living standard or their lifestyle when they retire. In fact, there's major changes that they do, and I think that your income that you want to keep is going to be relatively similar. And this is why I'm saying that even after you take your on Social Security, you still have to come up with $170,000 in income from your 401k. That means that you need to withdraw 8% of the amount that you have in your 401k in order to achieve that result. This is also assuming that you are making 9% return on your 401k investment. So this is really only 1% gap. And as you know, you might have some years where your 401k investments are going to go below the amount of money that you are withdrawing that year. These are times where it's going to be a little bit concerning about how and if you should withdraw that much money. So this could be more difficult years for you at that time. When you look at a website called 4% Rule, you can put all this thing in there, and it's going to tell you, looking at all the scenarios that happened historically, it's going to tell you that there's a 60% chance that you're going to run out of money by age 90 if you do an 8% asset withdrawal method on your 401k with $2.5 million in it. So 60% chance that you're going to run out of money. When I go back to the 5 promises about secure retirement, I can see that I don't want to have a lower income, so that doesn't make sense to me. So this is a big thumbs down for me. Also, that 4% asset withdrawal method that a lot of financial planners are assuming, and also if you're looking at annuities, life annuities, it's not going to be enough. I need like an 8% payout or an 8% asset withdrawal in order to reach my number. So again, that's another big thumbs down. Also, when we're assuming that I'm going to pay less income tax at retirement because I have a lower income, this is not something that I want. So again, that's a big thumbs down. I'm expecting to pay the same amount of income tax that I was in my final years of working. So remember that this is tax deferred. That doesn't mean tax free. So after retirement, between age 65 and 90, you can expect to pay $1.6 million in income tax. So again, that's a big thumbs down here. You're not saving money in taxes. And then around the employer contribution, yeah, it really locks you into what you can do. It actually reduces the options that you have and the kind of investment that you can do. It really removes a lot of flexibility that you need in order to maximize your return. All right, let's talk about the great returns that we're expecting. A lot of it is impacted by fees, and penalties. That's right. There's a lot of fees associated with the 401k plan. First of all, there's an admin fee for managing and administering the 401k plan itself. There's also, some plans also have investment advisory fees where they're actually consulting with you to help you decide which mutual fund you can choose. Then of course there are transaction fees. If you buy or sell some of these mutual funds or ETFs, there are going to be some transaction fees associated with that. If you invest in a mutual fund, then you're going to have expense ratio. You're going to have sales loads. These are often when you're buying or when you're selling the mutual fund, when you're entering or exiting, there's sales loads associated with that, which are basically commissions. And finally, penalties. If you ever thought that you wanted to retire early, you wanted to retire before 59 and a half, then guess what? There's going to be at least a 10% penalty on the amount of money that you withdraw in those years. Again, they want to make sure that you keep that money in there as long as possible. So all these fees and these penalties are affecting your returns and how much money you can actually live on. So if I go back to my slides about the 5 promises of the 401k, when we look at the lack of flexibilities and the penalties for early retirement, that's a big thumbs down. When we look at the fees that we pay for transactions, for withdrawing the money, for managing the plan, and etc., we're looking at $1.9 million in fees. Can you imagine? During the time of the 401k plan. This is a huge amount of money. And this is why Wall Street is so interested in your 401k. The thing is that Wall Street wants you to believe that this is the only option. This is the only way for you to invest tax-free or tax-deferred, and then maximizing your return and avoid and reducing your overall taxes. But this is not true. There are other investment vehicles out there where you can achieve all these goals and more. Don't believe me? Well, check out a couple of books. 401 Chaos by Andy Tanner. He was part of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. He's one of the advisors. He's basically writing about all these things, all these topics that I mentioned. And then he's suggesting also that you look at alternative investment. So which is kind of funny that real estate actually fits into this, what he calls alternative investment. I think real estate has been around for longer than the stock market. You can also look at the documentary by PBS that's called The Retirement Gamble. So this is like I think it's an hour-long documentary, and it really shows what's going on with the 401k plans that are out there, and also that there's very little control And it's all about the fees, about how can they maximize the fees around the investments that you do in the 401k plan. So this is a very interesting read. It's a little bit older than the 401 Chaos, but I think it comes with, they interview one of the Vanguard CEO that started one of the largest mutual fund out there. So it's kind of interesting to hear his perspective on 401k and mutual fund and all the fees associated with that. So what is this investment that actually meets all the criteria that we have in terms of secure, comfortable retirement, minimizing fees, maximizing return, and reducing our tax burden, not only throughout our lifetime, but also at retirement. And on top of that, that particular asset class also allows you to pass on this legacy to your children. That asset class is rental properties, or real estate in general, but rental properties. That's what I've been focusing for many years, and single family rentals is really one of the easiest asset class to get into for the beginner, and it also makes it easy to scale year after year and keep adding single family rentals to your portfolio. So here's what I have. This is the model that I use to come up with all these numbers. And this is our Florida man, age 30, $75,000 in salary at the beginning, 3% salary increase, and then retiring at age 65. So he's a Florida man, so he doesn't have to pay state taxes. And this is what it looks like at just before he retires. He is making $205,000 in salary. He is still contributing to his 401k, so we have 10% contribution with 100% matching. There's some fees associated with that. And then, basically this is how much he's paying in taxes, $40,000, and his net is $185,000 a year. So he has a significant amount of 401k savings. I have like $2.5 million, and then and this is how much he's paying, tax-free gain, and etc. Right? This is what his situation is at retirement. So when he retires, he doesn't receive his salary anymore, and now is getting 401k amount withdrawn from his 401k account, 106. He's going to have his Social Security, about $34,000-$35,000 in Social Security. And his net income after tax is going to be $113,000. So you can see there's a big gap between the net income at age 65 and at age 64. So we want to bridge that, and the way to bridge that is to increase our asset withdrawal from 4% to 8%. And you can see that here we have a match. And of course, when we're looking at the equity, you can see that your 401k money is going to be depleted by age 79 or so. And then you're also seeing that your cash is also decreasing rapidly after that. So here's what we're going to do. So this is our target. Let's pretend that this is our target now, $185,000. So this is our passive income target. This is how much we need to make in terms of income. I'm going to keep this at 4%. I'm going to be removing the 401k contribution. So we're not contributing to the 401k anymore. And instead of investing in a 401k, we're going to invest in single family rentals. We're going to invest in 4 properties every year. 2 of those properties we're going to flip, and 2 of these properties we're going to refinance. And then we're going to start building our passive income portfolio that way. So this is what I'm going to do here. We're going to see that you can, some of the assumptions associated with these flips. So I'm assuming that you're making $10,000 profit on the flip. And if you're going to refinance, you're going to be leaving about $10,000 in the refinance deal. And it's cash flowing at $3,600 a month here. Okay? Not a month, a year. So here's we are. So when we're calculating this, my model actually calculates the estimated freedom age to achieve that $185,000 a year. Okay? So it assumes that at age 48, you would be able to achieve this particular target. So if I put 48 here, it's going to look a little different here. But basically, what's going on is that at age 47, I'm making $277,000 net income, and that's because we're having a rental cash flow of $156,000. We're building our passive income portfolio And we have at that age 31 single-family rental units that are producing this net cash flow. At age 48, we basically quit our salary, quit our job, and so we're not making anything here. We're making $20,000 in flip. We're making our net cash flow, and we're basically not paying taxes because our depreciation is actually offsetting the net cash flow that we're making, and we're basically ending up at $190,000 in net income. So it's a reduction from what we have here. So the reason is that we decided that at that point we don't want to work full-time 9 to 5 anymore, and we decided to take a salary reduction. So now you've achieved that goal, and you would be able to retire at age 48 with significantly more income than instead of using the 401k and waiting until age 65 to get that income. Again, this is starting with the same parameters, not putting money in the 401k and then just going in single-family rentals and start building your passive income portfolio. This is why it's so powerful to invest in rental. So the appreciation is tax-free. The rental cash flow that you're making is also tax-free because of the depreciation that you're making. So you're not paying taxes on that as well, but you get to use the money today. You don't have, it's not locked into your 401k. All these things are in your 401k. And then when we look at the total equity, you have about $460,000 in equity in your single family rentals. That you can leverage. You can get a loan on that and then get additional cash for additional investments that you want to do. It's also something that you can pass on to your children, etc. So lots of advantages, and a lot of these things are not even available for your 401k or for an annuity. So I hope you found this video helpful. I'm here to help you make more money and achieve financial freedom. And if this is something that you like to, make sure you like and subscribe and share with a friend. And see you next time.